Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and we are here today to take a look at what is undeniably the biggest piece of the just-released Monarch's Reign DLC for Titanfall 2. I'm, of course, talking about the ever-beautiful, the ever-classy, and the slightly complex Monarch Titan. That's right, she's here, she's in your garage, you can climb inside, pilot her, and take her out into the battlefields of Titanfall 2. Now, I wanted to do something a little bit different this time around with my DLC coverage. Rather than shoehorning everything into one sort of, hey, here's what I think about all of the stuff in the DLC video, I wanted to go ahead and break each important component down individually in their own concentrated video, where we can actually have focused and concentrated discussion about each of these individual components. I mean, we got a brand new Titan this time around, guys. Kind of a big deal. It definitely deserves its own video, and I think the same could be said for the update to Crash Site, the nerfs and buffs that have happened throughout the game, and of course the return of Relic from Titanfall 1. So they're all going to have their own video. That'll probably take us a couple weeks. At that point, I'll be pretty comfortable with sitting down and actually doing a state of the game where we talk about where we'd like to see the game going forward in terms of weapon balance, Titan balance, so on and so forth. A great discussion for people who can actually sit down and listen to someone else's opinion other than theirs without throwing a temper tantrum down in my comment section. Today, though, let's go ahead and take a look at something that makes me smile deeply. That is the Monarch Titan. Quite a different Titan. Not at all like any of the Titans that we have in the game right now because of that core upgrade system. Today, though, I don't want to go too deep with the Monarch. I'm not here to like ruin all of the surprises for people who haven't played her yet. And I think there's a lot of value in people actually being able to explore new content without someone right off the get-go saying, this ability sucks, that ability is god tier, don't even use that, it's pretty much useless. At the end of the day, I'm sure a lot of these things will end up happening. People will boil down certain upgrades and certain kits and say, doesn't really work, this is the best, by the numbers. The reality is, we don't play in a sterile world or a sterile environment. Most of us are in public play, having a good time, in a situation where most of this stuff is probably going to be viable. So, let's not worry about that. Let's just do a general overview of her kit, her core upgrades. I'll throw in a few tips and tricks along the way to get you off on a better start with the Monarch, to help you see success early on, and also to help you enjoy experimenting with the different customization elements that the Monarch has right from the get-go. And then I'll talk about my personal kit and my personal upgrade selection and why I use it for my personal playstyle. Maybe you can feed off of that, and maybe that'll help you figure out what you want to do with the Monarch here on day one going forward. Let's start by taking a look at her core abilities. This is what makes the Monarch tick, and honestly, if this was the Monarch and they just threw in like a damage boost core, she'd still be a really fun Titan. I think most of her complexities, most of the enjoyment from playing the Monarch for me comes from balancing Rocket Salvo and Energy Siphon with the rearm ability. So Rocket Salvo launches an unguided rocket swarm. Energy Siphon slows enemies and generates shields. Heavily armored targets generate more shields. This is that siphon thing that you see shoot out of your shoulder, kind of like Ion's laser shot. Coincidentally, you can actually melee cancel it just like Ion's laser shot, so that is an important thing to note. And then we have rearm, which refreshes the cooldown of your dash, offensive and defensive ability. So that means Rocket Salvo and Energy Siphon are going to get instantly refreshed alongside of your dash each and every time you deploy rearm. These are the three things that make up the core Monarch experience before we get into the upgrade core experience. Balancing these and knowing how to get the most out of rearm to, for example, get double Energy Siphon in a couple seconds, or to get a double burst of your Rocket Salvo, that's Monarch. And that's what I think makes her a thinking man's Titan, if you will. You have to really be considering what you're doing all of the time. How do I want to use Energy Siphon? What target do I want to hit with it? Where do I want to fire my Rocket Salvo? She's just a lot of fun because of that. And then you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, I'm going to use Energy Siphon here. I want to rearm, but let's just dump a Rocket Salvo because who knows that, we could get some prediction going on here now. Since I'm going to rearm anyways, let's fire a Rocket Salvo through that doorway. Maybe we'll get a couple hit markers, then let's rearm. So I've had a lot of fun dealing with these three components and how they mix and match, how they work with each other, and that's what Monarch's going to be about for a lot of you guys. You're going to jump in there, and the rearm, I think, is going to be a big part of what makes great Monarch players great, and mediocre Monarch players mediocre. People who don't use rearm enough and don't see its potential to boost Energy Siphon and Rocket Salvo, which both have the potential to get exponentially more powerful once you start to talk about the Monarch's kit and her core upgrades. Before we go forward, though, I do have to mention that XO16 chain gun, guys. It is back. That 20mm automatic rifle. It looks great. Loving seeing the weapon model here in Titanfall 2. It sounds amazing, by the way. Don't worry, you'll hear plenty of it instead of Titan Brawl, which is pretty much Monarch Brawl right now. They really did a great job with the audiovisual presentation of the Monarch Titan. However, I continue to be disappointed by the AI voice choices for all of the Titans. They're not unique enough in my opinion. I like the idea of having male and female, but why not throw in some, people from, I don't know, speaking someone who's Japanese? I'd love to get in a Titan that speaks Japanese and has subtitles because I don't understand it. Like, stuff like that. Anything to just give a little bit more personality to the Titan. I mean, the Monarch, after all, is supposed to be resurrected by the IMC and Vincent Dynamics. Where's, like, my robot female voice? Where's Ash in my eardrums or something like that? Would have been nice to just give this Titan a little bit more character outside of her abilities and her kit. Let's go on and actually talk about her Monarch kit selection. We've got 4 different kits here, including Shield Amplifier, Energy Thief, Rapid Rearm, and Survival of the Fittest. I'm currently running Rapid Rearm, which reduces the cooldown of the rearm ability by 5 freaking seconds. 5 whole seconds, guys. That's a lot of time. That means I can pop rearm a lot, which means I can fire a lot of salvo cores, and I can suck on a lot of shields. Really been having a lot of fun with this, and it is fundamental to my current playstyle with the Monarch Titan. Let's take a look at Shield Amplifier, though. This is going to give Energy Siphon shield gain a 25% boost. So, if you're someone who's just looking to really keep boosting your shields, this is a great way to do that. Energy Thief, core meter is earned 10% faster, and Titan executions will now steal a battery. You guys have all seen that second execution. This is how you get it, and this is how you steal the battery out of a guy that you just punched in the face. It's a pretty good feeling. Last, and probably the most interesting one that I haven't really messed around with yet, is Survival of the Fittest. Batteries can repair the Monarch out of doom state. This could be a game changer for LTS. If you're someone who runs battery backup boost, this is going to be potentially a really, really effective kit. I'm interested to experiment more with it and see how it works out in terms of just making Monarch more of a presence on the battlefield, more of, hey, we need to focus that Titan. Now, there is something I need to mention before we take a look at the core upgrades in regards to batteries. If you take a backup battery and carry it before embarking into Monarch, you can actually boost the rate at which your core upgrade 1 is earned. That's a pretty interesting tooltip. It's actually given to us by Respawn when we look at the Monarch inside of the game. So yeah, there you go. That's a nice way to increase the rate at which your core 1 is going to be unlocked. Accelerate the path to your first upgrade. Let's go ahead and actually take a look at what could be your first upgrade within core upgrade 1. You've got arc rounds, missile racks, or energy transfer. I'm running missile racks, which is going to allow rocket salvo to fire twice the amount of missiles. I really like rocket salvo, in case you haven't noticed. I think as someone who plays a little bit more aggressively, sort of a midliner with some hit and run tactics, being able to get in and just bake an entire doorway with rocket salvo is a lot of fun in my opinion. And if I can, whack someone with energy siphon real quick and just pummel them with the missile racks, it does a significant amount of damage. And there are certain maps, there are a lot of maps in this game with tight corridors, tight hallways, where something like rocket salvo with missile racks is just waiting to be dumped out on a group of enemies who just all piled up in that hallway at the wrong place and the wrong time. So I've been in love with this one. Arc rounds is the first ability, and I think this is the one that most people are going to run just because it just sounds cool and it is undeniably powerful. The Exo 16 rounds deal more damage to shields, and they drain energy from vortex and thermal shields. So we've got a direct counter here for Scorch and for Ion. It also increases ammo capacity, so more rounds, more damage. You can't really go wrong there. It's like having your cake and being able to eat it too. Last on the list, we've got energy transfer. This is the one upgrade that sort of transforms the way that you will play Monarch in a big way. Hitting friendly Titans with energy siphon now gives them a shield. There is one problem with this currently that I did want to address, although I think you guys should still try this, especially in support environments where you're actually playing with your friends. This could be a lot of fun. But right now, as far as I could tell, you don't earn any core from giving your friends shields. So you're spending all this time using your energy siphon to give shields to friendlies rather than just damaging enemy Titan shields or giving yourself a shield. And you're not really getting rewarded for it, which makes it difficult to reach core upgrade 2 or upgrade 3. Something I'd just like to see them change in the future. It just feels like you should be rewarded for it, right? It just makes sense to me. Let's move forward, though, and actually take a look at your core upgrade 2 selection. We've got Rearm and Reload, which is what I'm currently using. This gives you faster reload and rearm speeds. Again, anything to make rearm work more often and more quickly for me, I'm on board for. And I also love being able to reload faster. Again, it makes sense for a semi-aggressive playstyle. We're looking to get in, do a lot of damage, and get out. I like to be able to do as much damage as I can, as quickly as I can when I'm there, so faster reloads with the Exo are a big deal. You could also run Maelstrom, which means Electric Smoke is intensified, dealing more damage to Titans and pilots, or Energy Field. So Energy Siphon affects a large area around the point of impact. Now, I actually ran this for a little bit, and I had an instance where I killed someone who wasn't in Doom State yet. They had like partial health, and I hit them with the Energy Siphon, and it just detonated them. So I don't know if there's a bug going on or if that's how it's supposed to work, but something to consider in the future with more testing. Let's go ahead and take a look at our final core upgrade, which is core upgrade 3, and the selection we have there. We've got multi-target missiles, superior chassis, and the Exo-16 accelerator, which is what I'm currently running. This installs the accelerator mod for the Exo-16, which increases its max fire rate and damage. Now, I should point out that the Exo-16 is going to have to spool up a little bit at this point, but it does a lot of damage once it does. And again, for me, being able to get in and just lay waste to people, this just kind of worked. I thought about running the multi-target missiles, but I just like focusing on rearm and the rocket salvo with what I have going on there, and then just getting back to the Exo-16 for that base damage. You could run multi-target missiles, though, which is going to allow rocket salvo to now lock on to heavily armored targets, and each missile will also deal more damage. So pretty powerful core if you can get there. And if you're also running that stack on rocket salvo, you're going to get even more rockets on target. That's what's going to make this upgrade very powerful for rocket users. Last, we have that superior chassis. This upgrades Monarch's max health and removes weak point vulnerabilities, which means no more crit spot. Definitely a big deal if you can get there. My problem with superior chassis when I tried running it is that I do admittedly just play a bit too aggressively for my own good right now, which meant that if I ever got to core upgrade 3, chances are I was so toasted that I wasn't really getting the benefits of superior chassis. But it might work better for someone who plays a little bit more passively or just a little bit more cautiously. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is Monarch. You know, there's going to be a lot that people are going to dig up with this. I know Dino, I've already heard he talked about like a reload cancel. So lots of small details and lots of nuances behind Monarch will undeniably be uncovered over the next couple days. But right now, what you need to know to do well with her, understand the importance of rearm, you know, pick and choose your favorite core abilities, figure out how they mix and match best for you, and also just be very aware of the current health of Monarch. If you played Tone and you played Ion, you're used to having medium health chassis that have a lot of survivability via direct shield output, you know, Ion's shield and of course Tone's particle wall. You don't have that with Monarch. You can steal shields from people and you can reboost your shield, but you don't have like a direct defensive ability that actually stops incoming rounds. So if you play like you might play with Ion or like you might play with Tone, you're going to find yourself dead very quickly. There is definitely survivability to be had with the Monarch using those different core upgrades, and again, making the most of rearm and energy siphon. I mean, I've had some insane situations like down to the wire where I was able to backpedal, stun my enemy with energy siphon, blast them with that rocket salvo, get the, you know, shield boost off of them, and just keep surviving. You do have to know, though, with the recent update, if you are in Doom State and then you get a shield, you can still be executed. That isn't a thing anymore. Shields don't stop executions if you're in Doom State. That is something to consider, especially while playing the Monarch, where you might think, oh, I'm safe now, I got a shield up. It's not the case anymore. So just keep an eye out for that, and I think everyone's going to have a lot of fun with the Monarch. It's going to be interesting to see how the game plays out once people start to gravitate back towards their other Titans. I haven't had a whole lot of experience with the Monarch against other Titans outside of like maybe Tone and North Star. A couple instances with Scorch and Legion, but nothing really concentrated, so I don't know what the Monarch is going to be like against those Titans. We just really haven't had that experience yet, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out once people start to gravitate back towards their other favorite Titans, and not everyone is walking around with a Monarch on the battlefield. Really impressed, I gotta say, guys, with this Titan, though. While she does break a lot of the rules that Respawn have currently put in place, I think it was for the better. And I think this bodes well for the potential of new Titans, other Titans, in Titanfall 2's future. Let me know your initial thoughts, guys. If you haven't had the chance to play Monarch yet, I bode you well. Good luck on the battlefield with this brand new Titan. Any other thoughts or questions or concerns, feel free to throw them down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember to play smart, remember to play to challenge yourself, but most importantly, remember to play for fun.